Welcome to Life Lessons in Law with Lashonda. I'm your host, Lashonda Council Rogers. In each episode, we have authentic and entertaining conversations about the impact of the law on women. You can find this show on my website, www.thecouncilfirm.com, and on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Now, please join me in Life Lessons in Law with Lashonda. Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Life Lessons in Law with Lashonda. Okay, so everybody, we have Dr. Cee Nicole with us today, and this is going to be a very interesting show because as we're starting 2024, everyone has all these resolutions. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but we all know that a lot of people, including myself, one of our resolutions is to lose weight and become healthier. And so I wanted to bring Dr. Cee Nicole here with us, who is the owner of Wait a Minute Clinic, which is so interesting. So we'll have to talk about that name.
Yes.
And I wanted to have an expert talk to us about what's safe and what's not safe. Now, before we jump in, Dr. Cee Nicole is amazing. She's a published author. She's a mother of 6. Woo! That makes you amazing in and of itself. And she's one of the few doctors in the U.S. that is actually board certified in obesity management. So welcome, Dr. Cee Nicole. How are you? So listen, our time is so short, so I'm going to jump right in. First of all, I saw that you're one of a very few, based on the number of physicians in the U.S., board certified in obesity management. Why is that important?
Yeah. So that's a fantastic question. I think it is important because the reality is a lot of doctors don't know a great deal about obesity and what it is. Obesity is different from weight, and the approach to having that conversation is really unique. The discussion about how to address and treat it is sensitive, and most people just really don't have the right information and really counsel patients wrong, right? So I don't know about you, right? So we've all heard the whole, if you want to lose weight, you have to change your diet and you've got to go and exercise, right? You've heard that.
I hear it every day.
Every day. Doctors say it all the time, right? Hey, Mr. and Miss such and such, like, I'm concerned about your weight. I'm concerned about your cholesterol. I really want you to go out, exercise more. You got to, cut back on this. And so we all do it, right? We go in and we say 2024 is going to be different, right? So go in the cabinets, you get your trash bag, you get like, I'm getting ready to cross out this. I'm getting ready tomorrow's about to be a new day, right? That's what we're doing. Or we spend a whole bunch of money on a trainer, we get a Peloton, we're doing all of the things, right? Because that's what a doctor has said we're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Right? And then at the end of 2 weeks, a month, right? You get on the scale, right? We get on Saturday morning, we're naked, right? Yeah. We follow the doctor's orders. I've exercised, I've cut back. So of course the scale is going to be different because I've listened to what my doctor said, right? And so you close your eyes. I know I've done it. I closed my eyes. I've gotten on the scale. I said, the scale is going to be different. And we open and it's not, right?
Oh, I know. Listen, that is a terrible feeling. Yes.
Right. And at first we go back and we say, okay, all right, Courtney, maybe I did not go as hard as I could in the gym, right? Maybe I cheated a little bit when I went out with my girls. So we go a little bit harder, and then we come back the next Saturday morning, we pee first, we really get naked, right? On the scale, all of that, right? We suck it in, right?
Yeah.
And we get on the scale and it's still not correct.
Correct.
And then we're mad because the doctor said do this,
Yeah.
so it's supposed to work. But it still doesn't. And that's because that was wrong information, and
Mm.
partly because the doctor was wrong to begin with. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that is because not want to say the training, but the training wasn't complete.
Oh.
What an obesity medicine physician is offered is a broader scope of, the genetics, what medicines someone might be taking that might contribute to weight gain,
Mm-hmm.
how hormones may come into play and how that affects my ability to lose weight or inability to lose weight. And so I can have a full conversation with a patient.
So you said something that was very new to me, that obesity and weight are not the same.
Mhm.
Help me understand that, because all my life I thought it was the same thing.
Yeah. So obesity is a disease.
Mm.
Weight is a number on a scale, right?
Okay.
So when I talk about how much do you weigh, I'm literally just asking you what number. But when I talk about obesity, I'm talking about the disease that may contribute to your ability to get pregnant when you want to. I'm
Mhm.
talking about the disease that contributes to that person laying next to you that's preventing you from getting that sleep that you want to because they're snoring and have sleep
Oh.
apnea, the disease that is contributing to your cholesterol levels, or putting you at higher risk for breast cancer, colon cancer, all of these things that when you treat the obesity, I am also treating your high blood pressure, I am also treating your prediabetes and diabetes. So when you are working with an obesity medicine physician, you're also working on and addressing all of those things. So I don't do weight management. I
Mhm.
help you lose weight, right? As part of it. So I'm going to help you get in them skinny jeans. I'm going to help you get in
Yes.
that
Yes.
dress.
Yes.
But I'm also going to help you maybe decrease your cholesterol medicines from 2 to 1. I'm
Mhm.
also going to help you maybe move the needle from being pre-diabetic to not.
Mhm.
So you're going to address your overall health all at the same time.
So, do you notice that there is a difference with, and I know I've read about this, obesity in the African American and Hispanic community?
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay.
Um, yeah, absolutely. Like we are dying. Like we're
Mm.
dying every day at higher rates. And it's one of the reasons why I decided that being a pediatrician, which was my first training and what I've been doing for the last 10, 15 years, for me wasn't enough. It wasn't fulfilling in terms of my day to day because we're dying, and
Mhm.
not enough, I guess, attention and care is being given to the fact that our schools are feeding us diets and just meals from breakfast to snack to lunch that is moving us just to the grave, that
Right.
our vending machines at our workplaces are, the corners are Chick-fil-A and Wendy's, and and the lack of access to everything is just pushing us towards the grave.
It's so funny that you said Chick-fil-A, because when I go to Chick-fil-A, I use the Chick-fil-A app, and a lot of times, it's just easy. But
Mhm.
the other day, I looked at my order history, and I was, and I guess I still am, but no, it's 2024, I'm not doing that, going to Chick-fil-A at least 5 times a week.
Mm.
5 times a week. And I was like, that is ridiculous, but it's fast, it tastes
Yep.
good. A lot of times I'm in a hurry with the kids, and that's their favorite, and I don't have time to cook at home, and I am adding to this situation for my family because it's easy, quick, tastes good. but I know it's not good for them long term. And especially
Yeah.
going like 5 times a week, I get rewards points and free food because I'm there too much. That's a problem. So when you said Chick-fil-A, I was like, that's me. That's me.
But let me start and back this up. Now, I'm a mama six, so
Yes.
I 1,000% get it. I do not cook every day. And I
Hmm.
don't want to even pretend like I do because I'm not that person. And I think part of the reason why we are dying is because there aren't enough doctors and nutritionists that look like us that
Hmm.
say it actually is okay that you go to Chick-fil-A 5 and 6 times a week. And I'm not going to shame you for that
Right.
because you know what? Everybody's life doesn't look the same. Everybody
Hmm.
can't afford a nanny and a cook and a this and a stay at home, whatever. But instead of making you feel like you're not a good mom, let me just sit you down and say, let's go over what might be some good choices when you go to Chick-fil-A or what might be some good sides, because there is a way to go to these places and be healthier while you're there.
Got it. Okay, so that goes to your all-encompassing approach because I know that at Wait a Minute Clinic, you have a nutritionist and there's a psychological component.
Right.
How important is it to address the psychological side of obesity? Do you see that most people who are obese, there is some trauma or something in a background that tends to kind of push them to the obesity level?
Yes. But first, I'm going to, and I always, so there is, we I always want to correct when people say people are obese, people
Uh-huh.
have obesity. And
Okay.
and the reason I correct is because remember we talked about being weight and
Yes.
obesity being a disease, right?
Okay.
So just like I am not asthma. I have asthma, right? So I have
Ah.
obesity because you want to make sure that people understand going to someone who understands the difference between what I look like physically versus what I have as a disease, right? And that goes to my level of sensitivity and my ability to approach you as a person versus your medical condition. But to answer your question, yes, there's a great deal of mental health component to obesity. And a lot of that is from all of the reasons why we eat. Many people have a very unhealthy relationship with food, right? Like, in all honesty, how often do you eat when you're bored or when you're sad or stressed, right?
Mhm.
I know for me, one of the reasons why I went into obesity outside of caring very much about the population that I serve is I personally struggled with obesity after my first pregnancy. I gained
Mm.
100 pounds. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Mhm.
because my first marriage was abusive, and the only thing I could control at that time was eating. I
Yeah.
was, I was in residency. I was in my head, I was doing everything right, right? Like I was this doctor, I was a boss, I was all of these things. But on the inside, I was this Black woman who was like invisible because I wasn't
Mhm.
supposed to be there, right? Like I was in this space where I was the only woman I was the only like damn near woman, but then a woman of
Mhm.
color, and
Yeah.
in this space where like nobody thought I should be there. And then I'm in this marriage where I really shouldn't have been there. And like, so I ate and I
Yeah.
ate and I ate and I ate myself 100 pounds bigger. And I told myself, like, it's okay because I'm pregnant. So
Yeah.
I can eat, right? And so I did. And I looked up and I was like, oh, this isn't great, you know?
Yeah.
But
Wow.
we do that, we eat a lot of the times for a lot of reasons that have nothing to do with nutrition.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, I know. Because when I'm stressed, I want candy. I want this. I want that. And it seems like it hugs me and it's
It does.
soothing. I feel
It
good.
does.
And then after I eat it, I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you learned it,
Yeah.
right? You learned because your mom or your aunt or your cousin or your line sister, right? Like, or on TV, you see
Yeah.
it. Like, the scene where hey girl, come on, I got the ice cream and
Yes.
this dish about the right. We learned it from someplace.
Oh, wow. That's so. I know this is a hot topic amongst many right now. And that is the new surge in off-label, off-brand use of Ozempic.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts about that?
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Okay, so tell me, why do you hate it?
I don't hate Ozempic at all. And I don't hate medicines. I believe
Sure.
wholeheartedly in the use of anti-obesity medicines. They have great value. I prescribe them every day because obesity is a disease and you treat diseases with medications. I hate the advertisement of medications, and I hate the I'm getting ready to make up a word because I can't
Okay,
think of the
let's
word.
make it up.
I hate the celebritarism of Ozempic.
Let's do it. And guess what? It's going to be in a dictionary next year. Celebrities.
I hate how it has been used on social media in a way that has made it so that the average person who really doesn't understand the medication has like now just kind of, I want Ozempic, I want Ozempic,
Yes.
I want Ozempic, but really doesn't even understand what Ozempic is, what it is used for, and then really doesn't even understand that like your insurance is not going to cover that because I cannot get your insurance to cover that because you do not have a diagnosis that your insurance is going to pay for. Ozempic is a medication that most insurances require a diagnosis of diabetes for. It is a GLP-1 agonist. There are many GLP-1 agonists, Ozempic being one, Wegovy, Saxenda, and Mounjaro. These are all similar, but some of them require a diagnosis of diabetes. Some of them require a diagnosis of obesity. However, Ozempic requires a diagnosis for most insurances of diabetes. So when you go
Okay.
in, you say, I want Ozempic. Okay, girl. Okay, sir. Do you
Yeah.
have diabetes?
Yeah.
How are we gonna get this then?
Right.
Like I don't know.
Right. But I see, I guess, I don't know if they're generic forms of Ozempic being advertised online where you can get it very freely
Mhm.
outside of insurance. And that scares me. That really
Yeah.
does. I'm not even a medical professional. Like, ooh, why would we?
So it's
Yeah.
not, and that's another thing that is frustrating because it's not well, generic, it's not a generic, it's a compounded version.
Okay.
And I think it's really important for people to educate themselves and understand what compounded means. And so the way I like to, let's just kind of, let's say I didn't even understand what compounded means and I didn't understand anything about medication.
Hmm.
I just want to just kind of look at numbers. Okay.
Sure.
So Ozempic costs about $1,400 a month.
Wow.
$1,400 a month. These compounded medications that you can go and purchase is somewhere around usually $300, $400. Okay.
Okay.
So I would like, without any medical anything, make that math.
Okay. Yes.
It ain't no way, right?
Right.
Like you tell me how, like, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Wow.
right? Like, so for me, it's like, to me, I would just, in my head, I'm looking at like, how do I would just kind of raise my hand if I just would like for somebody to explain to me how something that costs $1,400
Right.
you are able to provide to me for free. And if you are able to make that math for me, then we can have a conversation. Okay.
Mm.
Now, the way that they make that math a lot of the time is that it is not Ozempic. Okay.
Okay.
So it is not the name brand, meaning it is not from this pharmaceutical company. It is where they take the main ingredient, so semaglutide, out of Ozempic. And depending on the pharmacy, so different compounding pharmacies exist all over the world. And each compounding pharmacy may have their own special ingredient, almost like, for example, and I'm just kind of using almost like someone going to a source to go get
Mhm.
your very pure, like, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing that out there.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And then they come back and they distributing, you know what I'm saying? And then each person decides how they want to, now I will say, and I am 1,000%, because I don't want nobody coming for me. Okay.
Yes.
I am not in any way saying that it is the same as someone dealing cocaine, because
Right.
pharmacies do have to adhere to certain levels of, you know, quality, et cetera, and guidelines. But I am saying that it is not the same pure FDA guidelines and testing the way that the Ozempic, Wegovy,
Hmm.
Manjaro went through. Like, it is not FDA approved the way that that medication is. There is no lot number on these compounded medications that you are buying from a compounded pharmacy. And so, therefore, there isn't a way for you to track. So, like, for example, when you go buy a medication, whether it's Tylenol, ibuprofen, Manjaro, whatever it may be, let's say you have a reaction, or anyone does. I can then say, hey, I had a reaction to this medication and I can report it.
Hmm.
Then the FDA can then say this medication and this lot number came from this box, and
Right.
I can then notify this pharmacy in Wyoming where the rest of this shipment of this box went, and say, hey, we think that this box has a contamination. Please contact these patients because they also got this lot number, and there's a way to track. You can't do that with a compounded medication because they don't adhere and they're not tracked in the same way.
So you mentioned Wegovy and some other, but I mean, what's the difference between those and the Ozempic brand?
Okay, so one is semaglutide, the other one is liraglutide, and the difference is basically short acting, long acting. And so one is taken once daily and the other is taken once a week. So your Wegovy and Ozempic is taken weekly, whereas Saxenda is taken daily.
Got you. So it's my understanding that for these medications to be effective, you need to be on them for the rest of your life. Is that?
So yes, so most studies do show that patients are taking them lifelong, or at least some form of an anti-obesity medication lifelong. So some patients will either take this medication or then transition to a different medication. Some patients might take this medication and then get bariatric surgery, and then they don't need any medication. So it isn't necessarily that you have to take Wegovy or Ozempic lifelong, but you may have to take some form of a medication lifelong. But really, what's most important and the key to any anti-obesity medication is making sure that you are not relying on the medication alone to do the work, which means that you are not taking the medication, but living your whole best life as though you were before you were taking the medication.
That would be me.
Taking the medication, but still eating the breakfast, lunch, dinner, like you were before you were taking it. Because then there is absolutely a guarantee that every pound that you lost is going to come back once you stop, because you have not made any changes to your lifestyle.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so our time is almost up, but in our last few minutes, I want you to tell our viewers and listeners how they can find you and what can they expect when they come to Wait a Minute Clinic. Because I think that's going to be very important for people to understand your approach versus maybe someone who is not obesity management board certified.
Yeah. So you can find, or anyone can find me on our website. So our website is waitaminuteclinic.com, but wait is spelled WEIGHT. We also have our social media. So our Instagram and Facebook, or Dr. Cee Nicole as well. So Instagram, Facebook. And telephone number is 470-952-5008. But what you can really expect, I think, is an understanding of obesity as a disease and being seen as a person. For me, my goal is to treat each person the way I would have hoped to have been treated when I was struggling and in the midst of my journey. I remember when I gave birth, kind of being desperate to get back to feeling myself, literally trying everything from Weight Watchers to Slim Fast, like pills in the store, like Googling in the middle of the night, just feeling so much. I mean, among all of the other things in my life, like going through a divorce, being a single mom, just waking up wanting to feel whole, but looking in the mirror and that being a huge part of my emptiness, because what I saw in my reflection didn't match who I was inside, and I was healthy at the same time. And I didn't have help, so I was trying all these different things completely alone. And anytime I asked for help, it was always the same stupid, but exercise more and, just kind of try this. And I was like, cool, like I'm in residency and I'm a single mom and like I'm literally getting 2 hours of sleep. I'm doing the best I can.
How can you do that?
Like, how do I do that? But okay, I'll try some more, and so I think compassion is what you'll get. I think encouragement and, just being seen as a person.
That's so important. That is so, well, thank you so much for being our guest. Everyone, okay, you have fantastic information that has been brought to you by Dr. Cee Nicole. Definitely check her out on Instagram, her website. And if you think she is a good fit for you, please call her because, as she said, we are dying. We are dying, and there are other options. And like Dr. Cee Nicole said, we're not bashing anything, but I'm always about bringing options. So again, thank you, Dr. Cee Nicole. And for everyone, we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. You've been tuning into Life Lessons in Law with Lashonda. In each episode, we have authentic and entertaining conversations about the impact of the law on women. I hope you'll join me each time. You can find this show on my website at www.thecouncilfirm.com and on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. We appreciate your positive comments and reviews. And don't forget to share this show with others. I've been your host, Lashonda Council Rogers.